I am so excited to share that you can now watch all of my upcoming podcasts on my brand new YouTube channel for the What Now podcast. So many of you have asked for more video content, and now you can watch these powerful conversations face to face. Every story, every testimony, every moment of faith and resilience, you'll now find it all on YouTube. So I'll be posting more of my episodes there, along with new short clips and deeper insights to help strengthen your faith and remind you that you are never alone on this journey. I invite you to subscribe on my YouTube channel at Podcast What Now. That's at Podcast What Now, so you never miss an episode. This is the What Now podcast, where we have meaningful discussions to motivate, educate, and inspire you. I am Mary Alice Hatch, your host. In today's episode, I sit down with veteran volleyball coach Tom Peterson to explore his remarkable career and the principles that shaped his life's work. From humble beginnings in Utah, where boys volleyball wasn't yet recognized, Tom carved his own path, eventually leading teams at Penn State, BYU, and Southern Virginia University to national championships. Tom shares how faith, unity, and a deep sense of purpose guided his coaching philosophy. Whether breaking California's dominance in men's volleyball or building programs from the ground up, he focused on more than athletic success, creating family-like bonds through traditions such as weekly family hymn evenings and teaching his players to grow as men of integrity with faith. Beyond the victories, Tom reflects on his true legacy, mentoring young men, being a father figure to those in need, and showing that leadership is about building lives, not just winning games. His story is one of vision, heart, and lasting impact, both on and off the court.
This is the What Now podcast.
Today I'm here with Coach Tom Peterson. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
So happy to have you here today. Currently, you're the head coach for the Southern Virginia University men's volleyball team, who recently won the national NCAA championship title. So congratulations.
Yes, that was quite the fun year, especially after it was all over.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, you've been coaching men's and women's volleyball for over 45 years now. I mean, you've won 3 national NCAA men's volleyball championships at Penn State, BYU, and recently this year at Southern Virginia University. So it's interesting because you grew up in Utah where there wasn't even boys volleyball. So how did your interest in the sport begin?
That's a little bit of a story, I suppose. I hope it's interesting, but when I grew up, volleyball for boys was only in someone's backyard or at a family reunion or maybe in a PE class with 20 guys on each side slapping the ball around trying to get it over the net. But volleyball for girls in Utah was more integrated in the school systems. So watching my older sister play and even her playing with me a little in the gym once in a while, that made me see that volleyball is this great sport. It's a sport where you try to jump high and hit hard and scramble to not let the ball hit the ground on your side. And what's better than that? So my sister became a very good volleyball player. She played at BYU. She was one of their best players they've had, I think, but she was on our national team for a while. She went to the World Games in Russia, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when I found out that volleyball was not just for women or for girls. I found out that volleyball was big throughout the world. In fact, there's evidence that say that volleyball is the second largest sport in the world behind soccer. And I found out that volleyball was for men as well as women. So there you go.
Okay, that's interesting because like in the late 70s and early 80s, you played for the BYU men's volleyball club team since they didn't have an official NCAA team then. But in 1985, you started coaching 3 consecutive years in a row before leaving to go coach men's volleyball at Penn State, where you led them to their first NCAA Division I men's volleyball championship ever. I mean, breaking California's decades-long hold on the title. What was that experience like?
That's quite the journey that you just went through. I went on a mission for the church, and after that, I wanted to do something physical, and I had not played volleyball much. I had played a little tennis and basketball in high school, and I liked volleyball because of my sister, as I said, and I took a beginning volleyball class at BYU. The instructor happened to be someone named Carl McGowan. And if you're into volleyball, you might know that name. He became a teacher for me and then a mentor for me and my coach. He's one of the best coaches, I think, not just in our country, but in the world. He has a lot of influence, had a lot of influence over volleyball in our country. But doing all of that, it got me more into volleyball. I tried out for the volleyball team, even. Maybe if that's okay, that's just a little story. Um, I remember after my mission taking a volleyball class, as I said, but also I took a beginning badminton class. And
We
I
still
spent the
have
time,
that?
yeah. And because I had played some racket sports and all, I thought I was getting pretty good at that in the class. And I remember one day standing in the Richards building in the hallway, and there's two signs, and one sign said tryouts for the badminton team. You go this way, and there's a number and a location of the gym. Another sign right by it was tryouts for men's volleyball team, and it pointed a different direction, the other way, in the time and the place. And I remember thinking, well, I'm doing nothing after my mission now, as far as athletics goes, and maybe just not knowing how difficult it might be. I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go one of these directions, and I'm going to try out for a team. And so I remember standing there, and I'm going, well, which way should I turn? And I finally turned left and tried out for the men's volleyball team. And that's kind of how I got started playing on the team. And that took a while, by the way. I was on the B team, as it were, and learning how to play volleyball and not get hurt while you're playing, how to get on the ground and dive and roll and sprawl without banging yourself up. That was quite the trick here or there for a while. But after a while, I made the A team, and then our team there, it was a club team. It wasn't a varsity sport, but we would play teams around the country, or at our place even, bringing in teams like UCLA or USC or Stanford, some of the best teams in the country. And it was fun, and we were good. We probably won more matches against those teams than lost. And that was my experience in volleyball. So now I go through the playing volleyball at BYU and also working on a degree. I was working on a doctorate degree when they asked me to coach, or I asked to coach, I suppose, the men's club team at that time after Carl was coaching. And so I became the coach at BYU and the club team. And that was quite the experience. That's probably a whole nother big story of why there's an NCAA volleyball team at BYU, which is very successful. But we would fill up the field house many times and playing those same teams that I just talked about, and even charging money to come and watch us play. And it was really something. It was quite the journey. Uh, but going from there, uh, now getting along in volleyball and wanting to coach volleyball, that's kind of where it started. It started playing, learning how to play from a sister, and going on to playing and then coaching the club team there at BYU. That was quite the journey for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting journey because you go to Penn State, you win an NCAA championship there, then you come to BYU, you win an NCAA championship there. I mean, how does it compare between those two universities?
Oh
Very
boy.
different cultures.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard to express the emotions of winning a national championship at Penn State. I did not know for a long time that coaching would be a career that I could sustain to sustain a family and everything else you need to do. Uh, I was an assistant coach at the University of Utah on the women's volleyball team with the women's volleyball team there. And then I coached the club team, and doing all of that, I made very, very little money. So I didn't have a lot of hope of making a career of it to help raise a family. But then it was Penn State that asked me to come and apply for this job and come and interview for the men's volleyball job, coaching job there at Penn State University in Pennsylvania. So I did that. And even at that time, I thought, wow, that's kind of big. That's a big jump for me because this is the beast of the East. Penn State. Now that's a varsity sport there, and it had been for a number of years. I think Pennsylvania has the longest tenure of a sanctioned sport for boys volleyball in high school, so it's well established. But somehow they thought, okay, we're going to hire this guy, and so I was hired to coach at Penn State. And in my last year there in 1994, it's been a while, we won a national championship. And looking back at that, I don't think I even realized how big a win winning that championship, what it meant to men's volleyball. Now it became not just a sport that it was in California. No other team outside of California had won a championship until then. And I think there's a fun little story that there's a fellow that was the linesman. That's the person that judges the balls in or out at one of the lines. And he was talking to me. He was one of the linesmen at this national championship. And it was years later he was talking to me. He was a former player that played at Ball State University in Indiana. And he told me, Tom, that was the greatest thrill of my life. And as a matter of fact, he's the one who had to make a call in or out of the very last swing that we made to win the championship. He told me if that ball was even close, I was going to call it in. I laughed at him. But
That's a good friend to have.
yeah, that's right. That so many people wanted it to be not just a sport that was in California, but become the sport that anybody anywhere could go play and to grow men's volleyball. And I think that was one of the impetus. It was an impetus for all of that. How do you explain that? Now BYU, you ask me to compare. I'm not sure that you can. I would ask you or someone, well, if you have kids, which one do you love the most? And it's pretty hard to say, oh, I love this person better or this one. At BYU, winning a championship there was just unbelievable as well. It's my alma mater. And having come to that point and winning a championship, by the way, just doesn't grow on tree somewhere. I know a lot of coaches that are really good, excellent, great coaches that don't have that chance to win their last match of the year. And so doing that at both BYU and Penn State University, both those, I can't explain it more than that.
Well, I mean, not only that, but then you went over to Southern Virginia University and you won another NCAA volleyball championship. And you have now done something no other coach has done. You've won 3 NCAA volleyball championships at 3 different schools. So what drives you to keep building these programs and developing these young athletes?
Oh, boy. That one's just a little bit hard as well to explain the excitement that you get from helping build a team. I had the experience of starting a program for women at Salt Lake Community College and having coached the men's club team and taking that from where it was to it becoming a varsity sport at BYU. That's exciting, and there's something to it. It wasn't always, the road was a little bumpy with some people that may not agree with me why we were trying to become a varsity sport. But the ability to do that, to be part of that, that's just so exciting. And now coming to SVU, Southern Virginia University, when I was asked to think about coming back in 2016, that was the first time that anyone had called me. And it was Jason Lamb was our athletic director. He said, Tom, come and think about coming cross country and not much money, but starting a volleyball program. And so I didn't think much about that, but something just kind of stuck in my brain. This is exciting. There's something to this. There's something special about it. So at some point, right after that, my wife and I, Cheryl, we went to Southern Virginia University on a visit. And there we, like I said, it wasn't much money. It was new and all, but there's something special about Southern Virginia University, something that's more special than volleyball. But I couldn't get it out of my mind, and neither could Cheryl. And we decided, let's give this a go. There's a word that my wife uses, is intrepid. The word intrepid of doing something that may not be the easiest, or you may not know what's going to happen, but you're intrepid. You're just going to try it and do it. And that's the way we were coming to SVU. And being a part of this now is something incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what were the early years like at SVU? I mean, did you envision taking them all the way to a national championship? That's a really small school.
I was hired, like I said, in 2016 in July. And by the time school started in the next month, at the end of the next month, we needed to have a team in place. Now, that's no easy chore. But because I had had some connections with good volleyball players, we were able to field a team that wasn't a typical startup team. But we were not allowed to compete in a conference in our first year. But the vision to win has to be part of this. The vision to eventually win a national championship. And I'll say this about vision: if you don't think something can happen, it won't happen, or at least it's much more difficult that something's going to happen. We all needed to think that we could win a national championship for us to do so. And like I said, championships don't grow on trees, but all of these good coaches have a vision of what it takes to win a championship.
Well, I mean, you're known not just for your wins, but for the kind of culture you create on your teams. I mean, how would you describe your coaching
Hmm.
style?
It's a little bit hard to explain. I always tell people when I recruit them that if you want someone to yell at you and scream at you all the time, which sometimes happens, especially in the younger age groups, in high school and all, don't come our way, because I'm not going to always yell at you and tell you you have to do this. You're going to develop your own. You have to develop your own style and your own guttiness, your whatever word you want to use, to do what it takes to win. Do what it takes to be a good student. You're on your own now. This is college life. And if they buy into that just a little bit, there's my personality. My personality wouldn't allow me to do screaming and yelling and motivating that hard continually. It just wouldn't work out. But what I think we do as a group here is we have leadership. We set high standards, and all the new guys, especially the new guys, they hang on for dear life. Peer pressure is a powerful tool for good if it's used right. And the influential players, if they buy into what's needed to build a good culture, my job as the head coach is almost made easy. I think a good definition of a good leader or good leadership is when a group of people say, we did it, or he or she did it, rather than he or she did it. Getting the right people in the right seats on the bus, that's critical. And asking for some help from above, now that's needed. Every once in a while, and the end product comes out about right. That's what happened to us.
Well, I mean, there's no I in team, right? I mean, we've heard that catchphrase before, but it's true. I mean, if you have a unified front and there's kind of that pressure to have everyone be at their best in a positive way, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you hold family home evening for the team every week during the season, and your wife even makes treats. I mean, how has that practice shaped the team culture and connected players? I mean, especially those not of our faith on your team. Not everyone's LDS on your team.
Yeah. Well, most of our players are far from home. And if we can create a small feeling of belonging to a family, it makes student life and athlete life a little easier and better. Um, Getting together as a group and trying to develop our spiritual side is important, not just always working on the physical or mental skills. In our family home evenings, the players actually have a chance to give spiritual thoughts and to present character building concepts themselves to the rest of us. The non-members give great presentations, and we've learned great things from those that are not members of the church. But I also believe that the gospel, the good news that we have, is for them as well. They can feel that there is more to what we believe than just well-being or just good culture. There's something better than that, higher.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like your players are influencing each other for good, especially those that come from different faith backgrounds. They can add value in your family home evening groups and maybe even share aspects of their faith that strengthen them.
Yes. Here, this is an interesting, I don't know if it's a quote, my quote, or whatever, but I think it's a moral obligation to be happy. That takes work. And maybe I'm not the one to talk about how to be happy all the time, but I do know that serving each other, serving those in need, it helps the me attitude turn into we or team. And our players
Hmm.
somehow seem to be very good at caring for and helping one another. Seeing someone in need and then helping to take care of that need seems to be a team trait that we've developed over the years. And I think that's one of the secrets that we have for SBU.
Well, I interviewed one of your players, Jeremy Brown, and he was saying how you've become like this father figure to them. I mean, he was struggling with a situation with a family member who wasn't doing well. And at 1 in the morning, he comes running down the street, knocking on your door, and you answer. I mean, he felt comfortable enough to come to you in the middle of the night for your help and support. I mean, that's saying something.
Oh, well, I hope my wife's great at this, by the way. And I hope that I add to this, that the players feel like they have some parents away from home, a mom and a dad in some way. That's why at our family home evenings, my wife makes treats every week. She finds out everybody's birthday, by the way, and asks each player, "What's your favorite treat?" And then she makes it for each of the players that family home evening. It's a little touch of home that they get away from home. And maybe the loneliness, the hard work, and all is I don't know, mitigated somewhat by us helping to be in local parentis.
It's interesting because you and your wife didn't have the opportunity to have children, but it's clear your players have become like family. So how has that dynamic kind of blessed your lives personally, having all these kids you influence and
Sure.
coach?
It even seems strange that adoption didn't work out for some reason for us. I'm I'm guessing that our names are still on some list in LDS social services somewhere for adoption. And but it hasn't been easy in that respect, especially for someone as caring as my wife. But these guys are her kids, our kids. Um, the best reward for coaching these young men, I think, is when Cheryl, my wife, gets a hug from one of her players and her kids, and the word love is mentioned. That's a big deal. I think it's both for us and for them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, you spent decades now mentoring young men. I mean, you've been in this, what, 45 years?
Wow, I'm not sure you needed to bring that up, but yeah, a lot of years.
How is that possible? You're only
Yeah,
55.
oh, thank you.
But, many in the church, how do you see your role as a coach blending with your faith and your desire to help shape future priesthood holders and leaders of integrity, not just
Mm.
players? It's more than that.
This summer, just a few months ago, I guess it's about summertime, I saw a sign or a little plaque hanging in the office of one of our former players who's now coaching teams of his own. And this little sign read, "A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life." And that thought struck me. We're not only here in this life to fit ourselves for the life after, but to help others come to Christ.
Mhm.
Um, I think this is an interesting thought. Christ set his church up for a reason. There were other churches when he was on the earth, and he could have tried to help make them better, but he set up his own church and gave it his power. The priesthood that these young men, our young men now hold, will change the lives of countless others as they go on in life. I just hope in some way I have a little part to play in helping that come to pass.
I think you do. I mean, Jeremy shared an incident where you had one of your players from Brazil hurt his hand and they thought his career is over. And this miracle happened. I mean, they gave him a blessing right on the side of the court immediately. I mean, do you want to chat about that for just a minute?
Sure.
It's a miraculous experience.
Yes. We when that happened, I think that Jeremy, I listened to what Jeremy described as the injury to his finger. I I was unaware of the injury until someone said, "Hey, Christo's, look at his finger." And I looked at his finger, and some white is showing right in the middle of his finger. I thought it was his bone, and now blood is coming out. And so all the emergency things get in place, and there's a towel wrapped around his finger, and we finally get Christo off the court into the corner on the trainer's table. And he's thinking his career is over. He's crying, and he says, "I'm not crying because this hurts. I'm crying because I'm not going to be able to play volleyball anymore." Pretty soon, those that hold the Melchizedek priesthood, which there are quite a few of us from our team, we're forming a circle, and we give him a blessing. He goes to the hospital, and we need to play the match. We finish the match. And because it's so late that evening, we go to Walmart for for getting something to eat for that night. And I see Cristo walking down one of the aisles in Walmart. And so I walk up to him. I said, "Cristo," he says, "look at me." He said something like, "Tom, look at this, my finger." And it's wrapped, of course, but he said, and he's jiggling it around. He says, "I'm fine. And you know what? I'm going to be fine. It's this is a miracle. I only got so many stitches in my finger, and the doctor thinks I'm going to be able to play pretty soon." And he said, "This is a miracle." And he's a newly baptized member, by the way, as of last summer. And so that was a real spiritual experience for all of us. And I think it was just faith building.
Yeah, I mean, having experiences like that and the other players witnessing that, and just confirming the power in their priesthood, it's powerful.
And there have been other opportunities to bless someone that's been sick, or someone that needed a blessing in some other way. And it's been very, very special for all of us to be able to do that, to serve one another. That's the biggest thing that I think we've learned on our team, is how to serve one another. And I'm not sure that I'm the one that instigated all of that or anything. It's just somehow learned, and we're a family, and we're a bunch of brothers that we hopefully use the priesthood and use the gospel to help others.
I love that. I mean, you've now been in here this career for 4 decades. Looking back over your 4-decade career, what do you hope your players remember most about playing with you? What do you want your legacy to be with these kids?
Oh, maybe I'll go back to a word, intrepid, that I used before. I hope that they learn to be intrepid and go and try to live life well. Don't settle for the mundane or something less than what you can make of yourself, I suppose. Be intrepid to practice delayed gratification and travel far in life, and not just look for the in the moment pleasures that vie for our attention right now. Look for something good, something eternal, and keep after it. I hope that these young men remember that we love them, and that they use that and help others with their love as well.
That is beautifully said. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing these important insights with us.
You are very welcome. Appreciate it.
This is the What Now Podcast.